Welcome back to episode 24 of the NoStoppingKev show. We here. It's lit. Good week?
Yeah, well, how was your week? How was tryouts?
It was cool. I like my team.
You like your team?
Yeah.
So it's looking good?
I think so. I think, when we look at, I think whenever you lose about, 2/3 of your team, you're talking like 10 guys. And when you lose 2 guys that can put up 25 a night, a point guard who is a true floor general who can, play both ends of the floor, and a lot of other role players, you get a little bit worried, especially when you know from years before what tryouts were like. You're like, where's this new up-and-coming talent pool coming from? But, got there, got to see some of the guys, and, we got some pieces. Now it's my job to put us in position to win. Me and Dev's job to put us in position to win. And the other people we have around the gym helping us. So I'm excited. I'm looking forward to it. It's going to be a new challenge. Maybe one of the most challenging years out of my 4 years coaching. But so I'm built for this.
Well, that what it take, like you said, when you lose and you got to rebuild. Like, so it's really like rebuilding, right?
Yeah, but the rebuild isn't. I think we rehabbing. We don't got to do brand new construction almost.
Okay.
You got some pieces. We just gotta refurbish this house real quick, and then we gonna get a tenant in there and rent that thing out. You know what I mean?
Oh, good luck. I'll be looking forward to seeing you go to work.
Thanks. So today, I want to talk about another basketball player, one of the most prolific scorers of my generation, Carmelo Anthony.
Well, he was like in my generation, I guess in my time too. He played. I mean, I watched him.
Yeah, but he one of my generation guys.
Yeah, you could say your generation.
Yeah,
you could say your generation.
So like my generation, you probably got LeBron, Kobe. It's tier 1. Go to this my generation. And then. So for you, because back then, it's everything is Mike, and it's still everything is Mike. So back then you had Mike, then under Mike you had like Magic, Larry, Clyde, Drexler, all those guys. Carmelo's like on that under tier. Like he's always going to be in a conversation. Is one of the greatest players of all time, but he'll never be called the GOAT.
No, I don't think he would be up there like that with them. I mean, he can score with the best.
Oh yeah, hands down.
There's no doubt about it.
A bucket getter.
No doubt about it.
Bonafide bucket getter.
Yeah, but he never won big games, playoffs. He always went down.
Yeah, but it takes more than just one guy.
Well,
it takes teams, system, coaching.
Well, I think in a couple years out Denver, he had teams. He had players.
He made it to the conference finals.
Huh?
He made it to the conference finals.
Yeah.
I don't think he hasn't had teams that. I don't think he's ever had a team that people were like, they should have won the finals. Or they should have made it to the finals.
Oh, you gotta look at the teams that was in the league then, and the competition that was in the league then too.
Yeah, sure, but I mean, he didn't have one of those teams though.
No, well, I mean, like you said, it takes more. It takes chemistry and everything else to get there too.
Right. So I don't like solely grading players on rings.
I'm not saying
it is a good something to measure, but if I'm gonna say, oh, you're better than this guy because you got more rings, that doesn't always hold up because you got people that ride the bench, like my man McGraw. They got like 2 rings with Golden State and then got a ring with Toronto. He won 3 straight.
Well,
Who's he better than?
Well, you know what? I don't really go by rings neither. Now, Robert Horry got 7 rings?
6 or 7 years, something like that.
Yeah, he got about 6 or 7. Now, you don't put him in the category with
nope.
them. I mean, he hit some big shots, or they gave him a nickname.
I put him in the category with Pippen.
with Pippen.
Yeah, good glue guy. That's a role player.
I ain't gonna argue with. I ain't got. You know what? I ain't gonna fight you on that.
Yeah, my little cousin came for me. Little Paris.
Yeah.
He was like, yo, you out of pocket for for what you said about Scotty. And I was telling people, told my boy Wendell too. I was like, listen, at best, Scotty is the greatest glue guy of all time. Like
Well,
he's a role player. He's a good sidekick.
Yeah, well,
Good,
I
he's
mean,
the greatest Robin of all time.
He played
wasn't
his
Batman.
He played his game, but
Right.
you know, Chicago had all the right pieces. They had the pieces.
Yeah, so you know, Melo, number 3 overall pick back in 2003, drafted by the Nuggets. Then he went over to New York, went to go play at home at the Garden for the Knicks.
But you know, he was really born in Baltimore.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, and then you know, had a season in OKC, and then a very short stint
Was that still your
in
team then?
Houston. Yeah,
Okay, see when he was there?
yeah, my man Russ was there.
Yeah, okay.
It's weird. I was watching OKC play the Sixers, and it was just
Last night?
It was just yeah.
You know what?
Weird.
You know what? I was watching the game last night and I was saying, and I forgot Westbrook went to Houston, right?
Yeah.
And I'm looking for Westbrook, and for some reason I know Westbrook and Harden were playing, and then I said, you know what? He's in Houston.
Yeah, it's wrong.
And then,
Wrong city.
right, and then when I seen CP3, I said, oh, that's right, he went there, and that's what it was.
Yeah, I was yelling at the TV last night. Sixers
Yeah.
was making me bad. But yeah. So you know, Carmelo for his career, he averaged like 24 points, 6.5 rebounds, 3 assists, and people always, you know, I think particularly today or in recent years, or maybe even his whole career, when you really think about it, Melo's probably one of the most criticized superstars in the league. That
Well-
was in the league in recent generations. You know, he's criticized differently than like the criticism LeBron receives. You know, it's always about the type of guy he is. Like there's always questions about, you know, how he is in a locker room, you know, his work ethic, and things like that. And you know, there's really this narrative around Carmelo that I think kind of hurts his reputation and makes people, you know, shy away from him. Like when he was in free agency, you know, I was even one of the people like, I don't know if we want him in Philly. He's just like a train wreck wherever he kind of ends up. And, you know, after watching his First Take interview with Stephen A. Smith, showed me a different side of this guy. You know, when you actually talk to the horse, you know, hear from the horse's mouth, get his perspective on it, it can really change. Because if you just let what you see on TV, headlines you see when you're scrolling down Google, you know, articles you click on, that's someone with an opinion writing. It's gonna have a slant to it.
But you know, I don't recall of ever really hearing bad stuff about Carmelo. You know, I mean, him and Kevin Garnett got into it the one time, but I never really heard bad stuff from him, and I don't know if it was because he was out in Denver and you know they wasn't. Well, you know, then at one time they was winning, like you said, they went to the finals.
Yeah, with Chauncey Billups.
Yeah, yeah.
And Chauncey Billups spoke.
Well, you know, he played with AI too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was a Nuggets fan for a minute.
Yeah. Yeah.
Chauncey Billups even said, you know, Carmelo's work ethic was great. You know, he was a guy that would always come to practice, work on his game, try to get better. The only downside he said was that, you know, basically, this isn't a quote, but, you know, Melo would rather get 30, 40, 50 points and lose than have 20 points and a win. And, you know, Melo said that, and Chauncey later explained, and he was like, he meant no harm by that statement. You know, he was talking about a kid that was 23, 24, 25 years old in the league. And, you know, Melo, you know, said, like, that was his mentality being a young guy. He had to eat. He went out there. He thought, you know, if he was scoring, going out there getting buckets, that was putting the team in the best position to win. And so that's what he did. And he was like, the only issue he had with Chauncey saying that was the timing. It's like, I'm trying to, you know, Melo knows he can play in this league. He's better than so many guys in this league. To say Melo can't make a 9-10 man rotation is insane. We look at some of the guys that are playing. So it becomes more than just a skill and talent at that point. You know, I think that, you know, money probably plays into it. Fit plays into it. And then, you know, the politics and kind of, you know, reputation that's kind of surrounding this guy kind of gets factored into that equation, which, I think is, at least, up until recently, has really kind of hindered his ability to get a job in the league, especially with the connections and close relationships he has with guys like LeBron, CP3. And so, I'm happy that Portland signed him. Interesting to see what that'll look like. But, Melo's had a journey.
I was listening to one of his takes too, and like you were saying, his work ethics, and like I said, you never heard anything bad about him, and he stayed like a scorer like his whole career. And some people at that time, a lot of people had that mentality that you was just talking about, get 30, whether. But most of the time, if I get 30, we gonna win. You figure that you're gonna win. So like I'm not gonna say it's a bad mentality for him to have. It's how some people want to categorize it. Like that. Like I mean, you could have. Who knows that Mike didn't have in his mind to go out and get 40 a night or.
Oh no,
like
Mike
that.
did. I heard Reggie Miller was telling a story one time of how Mike used to count down the points. Like he'd score, he'd be like 38.
Yeah.
He hit a 3, he like, all right, 35. Like he counted down from 40.
Right.
It's...
And it don't mean that you rather lose. I mean, you want to win. I don't think nobody want to lose. And like I said, I never heard anything bad about Carmelo. Only thing I heard, like, what they used to talk about when he get in the playoffs, his stats would go down. That's stuff that I used to hear. That's stuff I look at, and that's stuff that I try to watch in the games when people play now.
Which, I mean, when you think about it, it almost kind of makes sense for numbers to decline a little bit in the playoffs. Because when you think about your ability to be able to scheme for one particular team for a 7-game series, you can kind of better affect people that way. It's a little bit easier.
But you know what? Like when you say that, your top players in the league,
they're still gonna shine.
But what I'm saying is their points in the playoff in the regular season don't go. I mean the playoffs don't go down.
That's not true.
Well, tell me, do LeBron points go down? Did his points go down?
Sometimes his might actually go up because of his usage rate goes up because he's playing more minutes, he's taking more shots, he's being more aggressive, contrary to what you usually say.
Okay, but I'm just saying.
Steph's numbers go down. Sometimes he struggles in the playoffs.
Well, like you know what? Like I'm saying, Steph is a shooter, but you know what? Look what Steph got around him.
Yeah, so I mean, his numbers still go down. He's a superstar.
But his numbers might have went down, but Garnett's went up. I mean, Durant's went up, right?
Or Clay's.
Yeah. Clay was the person that I always say he was a silent assassin for them.
Yeah, he is.
I always say he was a silent assassin for them.
He is. So Carmelo's last stint in the NBA was with Houston. 10 games. He finished up a game in OKC. I think he might have had a solid game, but on the way to San Antonio, the GM comes to him, and Melo wanted to talk to the GM too because he wanted to make this thing work. Like, hey, how can I fit in? But the GM came to him, and it's like, hey, we don't need you anymore. So time to, you got to figure something out. Time to go. And Carmelo's probably like dumbfounded at that point because he's like, this is a guy who has been at the top his whole career. Like, I heard a story about Melo in college. This guy is just, he's always kind of got anything he wanted, and so then you go from college superstar to NBA superstar. You're getting anything you want. You're able to do whatever you want on your team, run your locker room the way you want it. You're the guy. And so, in OKC, he bought into a new role. He wasn't option 1.
Well,
he wasn't option 2. He wasn't option 3.
Yeah, he said he was 4.
He said he was option 4. So he went from being option 1A to option 4. And you could argue that Melo is probably better than Steven Adams, right?
Right.
So that was a growth period for him. Then he goes to Houston and has to take even more of a step back. And he had to start accepting the fact, like, hey, I might actually have to come off the bench here, which he said was very hard for him, understandably so. Like, I've dealt with that, where I was like, you're from starting literally every game of your life to coming off the bench, playing kind of spot minutes here and there. It's tough. This is an adjustment.
But see, you got to realize, you got to remember, he was a star.
Yeah,
and
I
he
know.
had to take that role.
Yeah.
So that's like really
It's amplified.
That's kind of really hard than than just being a starter. Just starting and then have to take that. Even like you said, when he had to go be a fourth option. That's hard. When you come, like you said, you come from college a superstar. You go to Denver a superstar. You go to New York and then you go to OKC. Now you got to start going backwards.
It's like when Allen Iverson was saying, what, however many time All-Star you seen come off the bench.
Yeah.
What, however many times scoring champion have you seen come off the bench? What Olympian have you seen come off the bench, right? So Carmelo kind of had that same thing going on, which, that's why I think it probably hurt him so much emotionally, to the point where, he explained, he questioned not even playing basketball anymore. You loved the game so much, and he just felt like the game didn't love him back.
Yeah,
was his words.
No, and I heard that, and
like you can kind of feel that at times, because you look at how hard he works. Like, even when he wasn't on the roster, you would still see videos of Melo in the gym. That's where hoodie Melo came from. It came from the Melo with no job, and he was out there at these NBA runs dominating. So the guy, anybody will tell you that he still can play. So it's like, why is he not on the team? I can name several guys on the Sixers that, Melo is better than. But then people will say it's a question of, is he okay accepting a lesser role? And Melo, he seemed pretty adamant in his interview, like, yes, like, that's not a problem. Like, he admitted it's going to be hard for me to do that, but he was willing to do it. So what more can you ask for from a guy like that?
Yeah, he's saying that he's buying into it. So you at least got to give him a chance.
Yeah.
You got to give him a chance and see. Like, I didn't see none of his games in Houston. How good he played, or should have probably looked up his stats for them 10 games, and see what it looked like. But like I said, I'm not always go by stats, and I need to see what you do on the court, and like that, I need to see that,
Yeah, I think Houston was very into analytics. The coach was Mike D'Antoni, who, him and Melo haven't had the best pass with. And then, one of the biggest things that stood out to me was Melo was like, people just wasn't communicating with him. It's like, if you feel like things aren't working out, come talk to me about it so that we can try to figure something out and work together.
And another thing that was crazy about that too? He said they've been trying to get him there for 3 years.
Yeah.
For 3 years. And, you get him there. What did you get him there for? To embarrass him?
Yeah, you saying this guy's what we need to win it.
Yeah. And you just really embarrassed him. And then the way that, like you said, you told him, when you're on the road, we're going to tell you when you're on the road trip that we don't need the service no more.
You're not suiting up.
Yeah.
You're not even suiting up tomorrow.
Yeah.
It's like,
yeah. And then, like he said, you're not suiting up tomorrow, but then you're not suiting up anymore.
Yeah. And it's like, people can argue, like, oh, he can't defend, right? And it's like, well, one, either you put him out there and tell him he has to defend, or he's going to have to sit down. Two, there's a lot of other people that can't defend that can flat out score. I'm like, so this, like, if Melo came to the Sixers, right, I would have been like, hey, you run with our second unit as if you're New York Knicks, Denver Nuggets, Carmelo. You just going to run our second unit because we need offense. Like, and right now, Sixers still have trouble spacing the floor. So you can't tell me Melo doesn't belong on a roster. Like, you don't need him to be a lockdown defender.
Well, you got other. If that was a thing on him, that's his whole career. He wasn't defending. Yeah. So I mean, he played and he started like that, and then why get somebody that if you want him to defend, then why you gonna get somebody that don't defend? Then bring him there in the first place.
Now people will say though that the NBA has changed since Melo has come in the league, which it has. They have a lot of smaller ball, we'll call it, a lot of up and down, more spacing. So less of, traditional post players. Because maybe back in the day, that's where you would hide Melo. You put him on a 4.
But
who
no,
wouldn't really play away from the basket.
Yeah, but he did. He shot jumpers and everything.
No, I'm saying on defense. You would play him against a 4. So then that's how you used to hide him on defense if he didn't put that much effort into defending perimeter guys.
Yeah. I don't know. I think with the game today, I think he could fit in I think he could fit into the game the way he played today, as long as he in shape.
Yeah.
I think that he could. Like sometimes I watch the game now. It don't look like they playing much defense now. The way people get to the basket and all like that now.
With rule changes and things like that. But I mean, that just makes it harder to be a good defender,
right,
too.
Right. That's so true. That's so true.
The other big thing that Melo said that really stood out to me was, my silence is not my surrender. He explained that he had to pretty much take a step back, look at life as a whole. And, even in the midst of that, he was still working out, but he said he took some ego hits along the way, each step of the way, feeling like he's not winning. People basically telling him he can't play when, he feels he's one of the greatest in the world still. So, that does a lot to a guy. And, you talk about a person's mental health. Like, that's tough.
Yeah.
What were you about to say?
No, I'm just saying, it's just a shame the way this all went down. Like, when you say this person is what he was and what he was in the league.
Mm-hmm.
And for him to be treated like that and going through what he wants. See, one thing that he get me when he say, this is bigger than basketball. Now, I don't know, because he really don't go so much in this. Like, when he talk about the Houston thing, it's bigger than how the owner. And then when he said he asked the players that, he was close to, and he went to them and asked them, did they know about it? So, and they were saying they really didn't know about it. And like, when Steven was asking them about Harden, if Harden wants you there, then you're going to be there. But, if none of them knew about it and they just made that move, like
I still think even when that part, I feel like Melo just didn't want to throw anyone under the bus. Because it's hard for me to believe that James just wouldn't know that. And then, 2, it's like, once Melo gives you that call, it's like, yo, what you mean? What you mean you out? Like, who they bringing? They trading you for somebody? They bringing KD in here? Like, explain to me how we just gonna waive this guy.
Yeah. See,
I believe if James wanted him there, he could be there.
Well, I believe so too.
Because James, I'm not gonna do, because they're not gonna leave a sour taste in James' mouth.
Like, like I said, I don't know what it was. Like when he's saying, like, what, it's bigger than basketball. I don't know.
One of the things he also said was, people will say one thing in his face, or say one thing. Yeah, like they'll say one thing to him eye to eye, because they can't look him in his face and tell him, like, oh, he's not a good locker room guy. He's not good anymore. But they'll say those things behind his back. Then I think that's what really allowed him to see, like, hey, this is something that, he almost doesn't even know how to explain that he's dealing with.
See, like another thing I said, like, did you hear that he's not a good locker room player? Did you hear any of that?
Now, you just hear all the drama that goes on between him and, like, I guess, coaching staffs, but you don't hear it directly from the organization. It's just kind of, I think, it drummed up in the media. And then that's what people kind of hold on to, because that's what you're being fed, right? But I've never heard a player say anything negative about Carmelo.
That's what I'm saying. I haven't.
Other than Chauncey Billups.
Well, what Chauncey said, but I mean that that's similar, like a joke. Some people joke like that.
Right.
Like I done heard that about a lot of players. I hope I ain't hear that about me.
I mean, you said it about yourself.
No, I ain't never said that about myself.
Nah, you did say you would get 40 and lose though. And that's just how it was.
Oh, but I went out every game to win. Like it's times when, when I was in high school, like we didn't win. But I mean, every game I went out to win. I didn't say I'm gonna get mine and we gonna lose. I never had that attitude. I'm gonna try to win and try to be in the game.
Oh yeah, you probably knew y'all was gonna lose, but you went out there to get yours.
Well, but you know what? I was going. Yeah, I'm gonna get mine or try to get mine, but I'm also try to win.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, but so, just looking at Carmelo's story, and I'm so happy that he's been given a second chance, at this thing.
Yeah.
It just shows that, one thing is, a long life journey, things are going to change. You might be at the top for a period of time. Sometimes you may be at the bottom, but there's definitely beauty in your ability to adapt to changes. I think that's a big skill in life. Sometimes you got to roll with the punches, especially when things seem to be at their toughest. I personally believe, God tries to show us things, especially when he sends us through, turbulent times. It's like you're being tested. Something else that, was mentioned in another part of his First Take interview from a month or two ago was the conversation Stephen A was asking him about, how come it wasn't supposed to be Bosh. Bosh was supposed to be Melo in Miami.
Oh, okay.
And Stephen A said that Melo's mistake was when he took the 5-year, $80 million contract back in 2010. He was supposed to take the 3-year money with some options because there was no out for him. And he was even saying everybody, LeBron and all of them was saying take the 3-year deal and let's see what happened. But Carmelo felt like he couldn't leave money on the table. And he also felt like Denver was where he wanted to be. And, Stephen A pointed out that Melo's brother always emphasizes that Melo was brought up, the traditional way. It's not about linking up with superpowers. He'd rather take them out. But at the same time, Melo did say that, when him and LeBron and Wade came into the league, they did want to play with each other at some point. Doing it in the Olympics, that's one thing.
Yeah.
But, playing on a team in the NBA together, that would have been special for him. But, one thing that made me think about was just that you always got to surround yourself with people that you trust and, kind of have an open mind and an ear to hear and try to gain understanding. So you don't always got to roll with what they say, but try to really think deeply about it. And when you got people that you can trust to give you information that you can trust aren't going to misguide you,
right,
really try to think through it and say, hey, if I'm in Melo's shoes in 2010, it's what's the pros and cons of me taking this long-term contract? Yeah, it's guaranteed money, but what if things aren't working out here? Then I'm kind of locked in. And Melo mentioned, he's like, hey, I was a little young and naive. I didn't really understand the business of basketball and things like that. So surround yourself with people, no matter what walk of life you're in, that kind of know more than you do. Or, you're all working to understand it together so that you don't end up making bad decisions.
Well, I mean, with the Denver situation, him staying there longer, I don't know. I can't say that. I'm not going to say that was a bad move because some players stay, spend their time there. Now people switch teams and franchise a lot more faster now. Some people, like you saying, it's just sometimes, when you were talking about this and you talk about that, it's when new management. So, the different teams that he went to was new management. Mm-hmm. So now, because you was a star and you would here at this management, now here, what, they might, for real, I remember one time when I first went out for the Sunny Hill League, right? How CNN would tell me to come to practice, right? And come on out and go out for the team. And I remember when I got there, all I got to do was run around the gym. And that was frustrating because they only picked certain players to get out on the floor and play. So now, even though they knew I could play, but I'm with a whole lot of other guys that could play or that was known and stuff like that. So now, you know what? It was a little humbling, and I had to wait my turn. And when I got my turn, I did, make it, Mm-hmm. But when you and you know what? And it's something like you said, in Houston, him and Mike Antonio was what he had him in New York where he was like this. So and then you say the general manager. It had to be something. That whole situation was crazy. And like you said, sometimes, another thing that you said, and when you talked about God, make us, try to teach us things or try to show us things. I believe that 100% because of, like my experience in my incarceration. It took him to show me things that he was showing me all the time. But you know what? My head was somewhere else all the time. But now, like I never believe, like people used to say, God put you here to slow you down. I don't say that he put me there. I say he allowed me to go there and give me a more chance to learn. And I think that it really paid off. And I think from listening to Carmelo and how he was so humble and talking, and like even the words, the way it was coming out, man. Like I think he has learned something. And like I hope that when he go to Portland, that he still show all the people that wasn't allowing him or gave him that chance. I hope he do good in Portland. Because just hearing him and knowing what he was, and like I said, I never heard anything bad about him.
Yeah, when I got the notification, because my fantasy basketball team been struggling, I picked them up. It's time to go all in, baby. You gotta go all in. You gotta go out there and take some risks to make this thing happen. But I think you just hit the nail on the head. Because one thing I was gonna say is that humbling experiences really make you stronger and help you become a better version of yourself. It helps you stay grounded. And it kind of allows you to look at the bigger picture with a clear lens. Recently, Kevin Hart had a car accident where he could have lost his life. He was, seriously injured. And I don't know if you saw the video that came out recently about him talking about his recovery process. But, one thing that he said is, he believed God allowed it to happen so it can sit him down. He felt like he was doing too much.
Yeah.
Which, I think is a little bit deeper than him doing 50 million movies. I think he's just doing a lot in, a lot of areas of life probably. But, he just basically, it sounded like he used it as a wake-up call. So it's kind of like sit down, take a look at your life, all the things you've been blessed with, and really, appreciate and cherish all that you've been given. And, that's something that, really stood out to me because I'm like, that's what's important.
What you saying all like that, something I think that I learned, like a lot of times, like I'm not going to talk about for other people. I learned, for me, being comfortable can be dangerous. And like, and what I'm saying is just like you saying, like Kevin Hart doing all this and doing all that, and you get comfortable. And then you start taking things for granted. You're not as hungry as you once was or something like that. And like I'm saying, like that same thing could be in Carmel way. Like, yeah, you might go, but are you still really working as hard as you was working? Are you still doing the things, or are you comfortable? Because like I'm saying, I got comfortable in what I was doing, and it cost me. It's cost me years of, incarceration. So that's one reason I talk about getting comfortable,
Yeah, and I think another thing that, with that goes right along with that is, one of my humbling experiences was when I went to the overnight event at Penn, and I saw, just how there were a lot of other great students from around the world.
Oh, that's when you first went there.
Yeah, I went for overnight one October.
Okay. Yeah, okay.
And like I of course I knew I wasn't like a genius, like a world renowned. I knew I wasn't on that level, but it really just opened my eye, and I had to use it as fuel. And it's like, okay, Kevin, you're at the top here, but there's a lot of other people that's so much farther ahead. So it just made me work harder, and it gave me a new perspective, and that was a really, humbling experience for me. And, I think that another area where, that was a little humbling for me was, was playing in high school. So I went from, growing up, always kind of being a star. And then, freshman year JV, I kind of was a star alongside Steve. We were like the 1-2,
right.
Dame and CJ probably, That's probably a good comparison for us. But then, I had, in high school, switch over to varsity, had star guards all years that I was there. Junior year, all the older guys kind of left. We had just a lot of our our remaining younger guys. And, I even had to take kind of a secondary role behind like Jameer, Reese, and Steve. It's like I was able to I was still able to kind of go out there and play, but I had to take a lesser role. So I went from being the number one option scorer most of my life to more of a facilitator, being more of a true point guard. Which, why are you looking like that?
You thought about shooting more? I always had you as a playmaker.
Yeah, but like when I was playing at the Y in freshman year on JV, like I had to score. I had to go out and try to get 20, And then once I started playing varsity, I think I really had to take that point guard role, in which I embraced it. I kind of like being a floor general. I can still go out there and get a bucket, Love playing out of the pick and roll and things like that. But, I think definitely running a team is something that I really enjoy doing. So that was probably my humbling experience with basketball. I think that, we got to get ready to bounce. But, I think that overall, just kind of, because I hadn't looked at the First Take video when it first came out. But it just kind of gave me a new view on Carmelo.
Well, I liked it. I really liked it because like it gave me a view. But like I said, I never really heard bad things about Carmelo, and Carmelo always played the way that he played.
Mm-hmm.
Like you said, everybody used to say that he wasn't a defensive stopper
Mm-hmm.
or like that, but he played. Like I said, I don't know what really happened, and the only thing is, I know, like you said, we gotta get ready to go. I just wish him all the luck on this,
Mm-hmm.
and I'm really pulling for him. I'm pulling for him.
Same here. I have to. I'm invested. Right now I'm carrying. I got 2 injured guys on my fantasy team, and I got Carmelo, who I got to wait for him to take the floor. So, it's a long-term game here. But yeah, we got to get ready to get up out of here. As I already said, thank y'all for tuning in. As always, please subscribe to our YouTube channel. Follow us on Instagram and Facebook at the NoStoppingKev Show. And also share our show with a friend or 2 or 3 or 4. And also leave us a comment or review, because it really helps our show reach more people. It allows you to pop up in some different searches with a little bit more ease. So always appreciate it if you could do that. And, as I like to say, until next time, family. See you same place, same time next week.
And I'm going to say, God bless.